As Disney struggles to keep the water on at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Japan is now running a special promotion for Tokyo Disneyland, where their Splash Mountain is now going to get soaked max. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me to talk about water is Vashkai and Marvin the Movie Monster. Guys, are you ready to get soaked?
You know what? It's my favorite summertime activity is water rides, and unfortunately, over there in Orlando, the usual water ride does not appear to be including much water anymore.
Yeah. We could, of course, mention the fact that Splash Mountain was the most popular attraction at any theme park in the world, according to surveys. Were they scientific surveys? Of course they weren't, because they were about theme park attractions and how popular they were. But here we are. Let's talk about Splash Mountain over there. WDW News Today. Splash Mountain brings back extreme mode with Get Soaked Max. By the way, I think that's going to be my new comeback whenever somebody tells me something that I don't like. I'm going to be like, yo, Get Soaked Max. I can't even say it. I got to practice. Get Soaked Max.
I'm just looking at those Mickey ears in that picture. They look like they're knitted.
Oh, that's a very good point. Right there, those
cool.
shiny ones, those
Pixar ones. Fine,
yeah. In this one, sponsored by Cow.
It's Tokyo. It's its own thing. One could say.
Yep, it is. Splash Mountain Get Soaked Max has debuted at Tokyo Disneyland and promises to soak guests throughout the hot summer months. Splash Mountain Get Soaked Max. For third year in a row, Splash Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland has received an overlay that promises to get guests extra wet on their attraction. While the overlay was called Splash Mountain Get Wet Max. Wow, that's so hard to say. The last 2 years, this new version is called Splash Mountain Get Soaked Max. Guests can experience this temporary addition to the attraction from July 2nd through September 18th. Well, I personally am very excited about this. Guys, you want to drive down to Florida or out to Anaheim and go check this one out?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's possible.
I don't think that's possible either. You would have to go to that magical place where they actually take care of their Disney theme parks out there. The Oriental Land Company, of course, owns those out there, and they have a license from the Walt Disney Company that says that they can run a fully functional Disneyland theme park regardless of how Josh D'Amaro handles his theme park stateside. Multiple signs outside of the attraction warn guests that the wetter version is now operating. One of the more thorough signs outside of the entrance reads, "You will get completely soaked. Please take care that your smartphone or other electronic devices do not get wet." That sounds like a liability protection right there.
That is way different than the you may get wet signs that are usually on rides like this.
Yes.
This sounds to me like Bluto's Bilge Rat Bodges over in Universal, where it's like, if just in case you happen to not be wet by the time you get to the end of that ride, you go under a waterfall.
Yes.
And I got to say, growing up in Florida, I was always the kind of person I would save Splash Mountain for the end of the day, because especially if you wore blue jeans to the park, or if it's a hot day out there, it's humid, and especially for the dudes walking around that park, getting your drawers soaked from an attraction. You don't want to be walking around a hot theme park all day, or you may be asking for a little bit of pain with every step there. Mm-hmm. So I always save Splash Mountain for the end of the day. Now, there's also sitting towards the back of the ride as opposed to the front of the ride. This sounds like no. It sounds like there's going to be a giant bucket of water splashing down on your head, no matter where you are on this attraction. This is, of course, my imagination. I've never been over to that fabled Tokyo Disneyland park.
I think it's in the form of cannons at the end of the final splashdown there that are pointed directly at you and will completely immerse you in water. From what I understand, too, the climate in Tokyo around this time period, around the summer, is very similar, actually, to Florida, which I found surprising. So I guess for at least a segment of that population, they might actually feel very refreshed from an attraction like this. And good on the Oriental Land Company for keeping this going, especially when, well, Jonas, do we have that clip there from the opening of Splash Mountain?
Oh, yeah.
Disneyland?
Yes. Would you like to see that one. Maybe Vash, you can help bring up some photos of what the current state of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Well, I'm just going to guess that's the current state is.
Why, you can't open a Splash Mountain when that mountain ain't got no water.
No water.
No water.
No water.
You can't do it, and yet Walt Disney World does it.
Well, obviously they can't have the ride running with no water, but they've drained that thing several times a day, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how long it takes for them to drain that entire attraction, that engineering marvel of an attraction. And there have been people who say that we venerate Tony Baxter too much because of some of our takes on Splash Mountain. First of all, I question how much is too much. I don't think we've even approached that limit by any means whatsoever. But Splash Mountain running without water, that was done specifically before the attraction started so that they could have a humongous opening day celebration with fireworks, by the way, instead of maybe putting out a little bit of a sign and having all of the cast members gather together in a crowd and then taking a picture of those people. This is not a boring day at the office in which you throw something together. This was a huge celebration. They put an event on TV, and now you basically get, oh, well, yeah, the ride opened. I guess we should do something. And maybe that's why the parks are almost completely empty at this point. Vash, you have something you want to show us?
Well, we talked about Imagineers. We talked about people who have been associated with the now Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I wanted to include this little tidbit here as well. This is from MiceChat's current update right now. Nearly every current and former Imagineer we've spoken to who wasn't involved with the project has expressed some level of frustration, concern, or anger over the Tiana Bayou Adventure project, and the groupthink that allowed Disney to ignore guest entertainment in favor of a desire to push a story that has nothing to do with the movie it was based upon. I thought that was very interesting from MiceChat to include stuff like that. I think it's very clear to say that Tokyo might not be interested in a overlay to their fabled Splash Mountain attraction. I think the guests there enjoy getting wet to the max, as they do.
I also like to think of it as Americans showing up, and that the Japanese ride operators are like, yeah, we'll show them.
It's funny. I am actually trying to currently learn conversational Japanese specifically because I really want to go to Tokyo Disney and I'd like to have an easier time of it.
That would be awesome, Marvin. I would love to see you out there on one of those rides getting soaked. And I have to say this to you in traditional Japanese, kapla to you and all of your progeny in that.
Well, right now I know how to order water at a restaurant.
I'm just going to tell you now that was actually Klingon. Right. That being said, let's throw this to our commenters. Do you want to go to Tokyo Disneyland and get Soaked Max, or would you prefer that you could stay stateside and get Soaked Max? Let us know in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news. No, we're not going to do that sign off. I'm going to exit the way that I'm going to end every conversation from here on out. See you later. Get Soaked Max.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.